In part 3 of 4, we're going to be trimming, chamfering, deburring, uniforming the flash hole, and going to be talking about tumbling for a second time, tumbling the cases a second time. Okay, for the first part of this third series of videos is trimming cases. Now, what I want to do is trim the cases between the maximum case length, which is 1.760 inches, down in between that and the trim length, which is 1.750 inches. There's two methods that I use, two tools that I use to ensure that I have the proper case length. And when I say proper case length, I'm actually shooting for as close to 1.750, the case trim length. And I use calipers like these. The second tool that I use is the case gauge. We have already talked about this Dilling case gauge, and we talked about checking headspace. They can also be used to check to see if the case falls within the 1.760 maximum case length and the 1.750 trim length. Same concept here. There's a ridge cut into, or there's a groove cut into the case gauge here, and as you can see, I'm turning this. You can see that case is sticking out the top of the case gauge. It needs to fall somewhere between the top and the valley. Same principle as measuring headspace. Okay, so those are the two tools that I use to ensure that I have obtained the appropriate trim length. Now let's talk about the two tools that I use, the two options that I currently use in trimming cases. The first one is the Lyman Universal Case Trimmer. This is a faster option than my second option of that I use for trimming cases, and that's these four pieces here. It's the Lee Case Trimmer. Here you have the cutter, the locking stud, the case length gauge, and the shell holder. And I'll put all of that together and show you how I use that here in just a bit. Again, the Lyman Universal is definitely the faster of the two options. It is also the more expensive. So the Lee Case Trimmer, you can use these universally, but going from one cartridge, say from 223 to 30-06, you will need to buy separate case length gauges and shell holders. And these come in one package together. Going back to the Lyman Universal Case Trimmer, it comes with pilots when you purchase it. It comes with the 22 caliber pilot, the 24 caliber pilot, the 27 caliber pilot, the 28 caliber, 30 caliber, 35 caliber, 9mm, 44, and the 45A. You can change out the trimmer pilots by unlocking the locking screw here with this hex key. The trimmer does come with the hex key. This hex key also is used to unlock the lock screws for the fine adjustment and the coarse adjustment, and you use these dials here to adjust your case trim length. You will incorporate calipers to obtain your appropriate trim length for your cases. Once you've done that, you'll want to take the case this case right here is 1.7 is the appropriate trim length of 1.750. So I use this case as my master case so that I can go from cartridge to cartridge, like say 223 to 257, Roberts to 30-06, and not have to go through the adjusting of the fine and the coarse adjustments and using the calipers between changes. I'll just use the master case. I'll take the master case, throw it into the chuck, and then set my adjustments accordingly. The Lyman does have a drill adapter option, and the drill adapter is $25 to $35, which is another added expense, but it's definitely going to speed up the process. Okay, just to show you what I do here, I'm going to go ahead and trim a case with the Lyman case trimmer. I'm going to throw my case here into the chuck and then trim the case. Then I go into chamfering and deburring. Case looks good. I'm going to show you what that looks like incorporating the case gauge. Here's the case that is too big, too long. The neck is too long, so we got to trim that. Chamfer and deburr. Okay, throw it into the case gauge, and it's within specs. All right. Okay, now we're going to go into the Lee case trimmer. You would take your cutter and your case length gauge, put them together, until it stops. That is your appropriate length. The shell holder and the locking nut go together like this, and that's going to hold your case. You know what? I didn't think about doing this before. Let's get a trim length, or get a length on this case here. Okay, this case is sitting at 1.767, and that's above the 1.6 or the 1.760 maximum case length, and definitely not quite down to the trim length, which is 1.750. Okay, take this and start trimming. Now you will notice that this has a drill bit, or it can be used in a drill, and I haven't done that yet. I haven't experimented with that. I've mainly used it just like this as you turn and you turn until the cutter starts moving freely. Basically, this piece here hits, it's actually hitting the locking stud. It stops, and that's your, and once it hits that, it'll trim that case until this stem hits the locking stud, and then it'll start turning freely like this. That means that you've obtained the appropriate trim length. I'm going to go ahead and chamfer and deburr. 1.75, 2.5. Close enough. That'll work. The Lee case trimmer is definitely going to be your cheapest option. It's definitely the slowest option. All right. Since I don't find that hand trimming, chamfering, and deburring 260 556 cases is enough punishment, I'm going to go ahead and uniform the flash holes. You can skip this step. This step is, I'm under the impression it's, some people find it necessary, some people do not. So you can definitely skip it. I, on the other hand, I'm going to do this step, uniform the flash holes, because I'm going to see if it does make a difference. Okay, there are two ideas behind this that I'm aware of. The first idea is to remove any brass left hanging from the flash hole punched at the factory. The second idea behind this step is to uniform the flash hole so the powder is uniformly ignited, similar combustion of the powder from one load to the next. Both ideas increasing the consistency from one round to the next. In theory, bringing these groups, the groups that you shoot, bringing those groups in tighter. The tool I'm going to be using is the Lyman flash hole uniformer. It like this in a package, and it comes with a hex wrench. And what you do is you take this locking screw, loosen it, and you can move this up and down. I've already set it up and done 3 cases here. Once you set that up, you take it, and this is on the box it says that it's a steel cutter. All right, take it. And it cleans out some of that brass in there. You don't want to cut too much into it, or you'll go through the flash hole. But okay, you get the idea here. All right, so that's uniforming the flash hole. The other thing that I wanted to mention was on trimming cases, once they've been trimmed, you won't have to trim them. You can reload them several times without having to trim those cases. Once you've uniformed all these flash holes, you don't have to do it again for the life of the case. All right, after uniforming the flash holes, the next step is to do the second tumble. The reason we're doing the second tumble is to remove any oils from excessive handling, also to remove any of the case lube. All right, this is the second tumble.